Shalom. First and foremost, call her Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahasham, Baha, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Barakathum, peace, blessings, salutations to sincere Akim, noising this gospel abroad, keeping the faith, diligence, and testimony of our Lord Yahushai, occupying the prophecies until our Lord come. And to the few sincere Aquath that listen and learn, to you I say shalom. So this would be a lesson going into the fact that now Palantir is taking control of the U.S. food supply. And this is a concern because we already know that these devils at the top, they're manufacturing a famine because they want to depop the earth, all right? And this is them coming down with great wrath, pursuing the Revelation 12 and 12, because they know they have a short time. So this is why they're speeding up this 2030 agenda, all right? Because they're trying to have everything set and ready to go by then. Lord willing, the Lord takes these devils down before then, all right? But we see what is going on. We see that Esau, he's raging right now. He's losing his mind, all right? And there's a war on the food, man. That's why, you've been seeing over the past year or so, all right, really it's been going on for, some time, but hardcore over this past year since Trump has came in, they've really declared war on the farmer, all right? They've been taking the subsidies away. They've cut the DEI, all right? They're cutting a lot of government grants and welfare and things like that, which directly affects a lot of these farmers, okay? You have many that are going out of business, or they're being forced to sell their land, or they're just being silently offed, all right, and their land is being seized, all right? So you have all manner of wickedness going on behind the scenes when it comes to the food, all right? They putting Terminator seeds, they throwing ticks on people's cattle herds, okay? Because, ticks, they carry Lyme disease, which, when it infects a cow, all right, that makes it so whoever eats the cow, that you cannot now consume red meat. All right, so all the way around, these devils are really trying to play the role of the Most High. All right, but they're going about it in a very wicked, diabolical way. And as you see this quote right here from the small hat devil, Henry Kissinger, and he says, "Who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls the energy can control whole continents. Who controls money can control the world." And these things that he's quoted as saying, that, all these are tenets of the NWO. Because guess what? In the NWO, they're going to control the food supply, all right? They're going to control the energy, and they're going to control the money, which these technocrats, they're at the forefront of all these things, okay? Hence, what we're about to get into, Palantir. All right, but before we get there, let's get a scripture real quick. Let's get Micah 2 and 1, okay? Classic scripture. Micah chapter 2 and verse 1. Woe to the oppressors, and the oppressors are the Edomites, okay? They're oppressing the whole planet Earth, man, okay? And this is why there's need of new rulership on the earth so that life can flourish. Under this devil, everything is dying, everything is languishing, passing away. Micah 2 and 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So right now, these Edomites, these technocrats, they've been given the power to execute these things by who? By Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai. Because when you read Psalm the 17th chapter, it tells you that the wicked is the sword of the Most High. So these Edomites, they're being used as an instrument of judgment to bring judgment on the earth and to the wicked. All right. So that's, that's really what they're set up to do. So these famines and these wars you see that's jumping off and everything else that's going wrong, this is all the judgment of the Heavenly Father. But he's using his left-hand rod of correction, Esau, to bring these things about. And he's been given the power because right now Esau, he has the dominion over the earth. You know what I'm saying? He's currently in the last legs of his rulership, but he's on the way out. Verse 2, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. And that's these devils. All right. Furthermore, all right, to back this up, let's go to Job 21. And let's see what Job says about the wicked. Okay. Job says Yahweh will deal with the wicked. Job 21 in verse, let's start at 7. It says, wherefore do the wicked live, become old, are mighty in power. Right, as we just read in Micah 2:1, it says what? Because it is in the power of their hand, right? So it is in the power of these devils' hands to bring forth all this wickedness that they're doing, and it pleases them to operate in this way. Verse 8, their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of Yahweh upon them. Right. So it would seem as though, damn, like these devils just doing all this wickedness. They got this secret cabal going. They got the EP files. They're destroying the food. They're destroying the air, the water, the animals, the people, everything these devils are destroying. All right, that's why it says that neither is the rod of Yahweh upon them. So it would seem as though, damn, that they doing all this wickedness, but no judgment is coming to them. But that's because right now the Lord is allowing these devils to rack up their iniquity, because there's a final judgment for them. All right, when you deal with the Israelites, the Lord judges us pretty much right away. All right, like if Jake go off, the Lord gonna judge you. You know what I'm saying? And that shows that the Lord is dealing with you. But these devils, all the evil that they doing, they really have not seen any real judgment come to them yet. It's happening slowly, but there is a final judgment prescribed for the nation of Edom in the scriptures, which they have to do this wickedness to fulfill. All right. Verse 9 says their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of Yahweh upon them. Right. So they dwell in relative ease, man. All right. The scriptures also say that they are not in trouble as other men. So they're, they devise all this iniquity and all this stuff, and nothing happens to them. Their houses are safe from fear. All right. They don't have to worry about the famine. They don't have to worry about sending their children off to World War III and themselves having to die on the battlefield. They don't got to worry about these things. These are the things that they reserve for the peasants. Okay. Which are you common people out here. Verse 10, their bull gendereth. What does that mean? Definition of gendered. You know what? Let's just do this, right? Real quick. I don't want to get too off topic. Strong's H 5674. A bar, and it means to pass over or by or through, alienate, bring, carry, do, take away. All right, so it's saying, right, that they alienate their cattle. Pretty much that, they destroy their cattle and fail if not. Their cow calveth and casteth not her calf. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and harp and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Therefore they say unto Yahweh, depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. And that's the mentality of the wicked. Okay, they want nothing to do with the ways of Yahweh Bashmil Shai, because they have the riches, they have the wealth. Right now they're in their kingdom, so they don't want to live a righteous lifestyle, man. But ultimately, it's not in them to do that, because they are the wicked. Okay, they were created to be so. So now, okay, when you get into this video here from the channel's name is Unshadowed, all right, formerly named the Ice Age Farmer, you know what I'm saying, which I've been looking for this dude for years. I'm saying, I thought they did something to him, but, he's, good to see him still putting up videos, man. Always put up good information. But this is from Ice Age Farmer. Palantir just took over America's food supply. Okay, so these are the moves while everybody's being distracted with all this other stuff. All right, this is what's going to directly affect you. Okay, so let's check this out.
My friends, welcome. Palantir has just inked a deal with the USDA to take control over the data about the US food supply. Now, this is concerning for a number of reasons, most of which you probably already are feeling right now. We'll just start by saying, of course, as a reminder, that Palantir is the company which has already been aligning with various departments of defense, or war departments now, and then in the Ministry of Defense in the UK, where it was quoted that they will be helping to accelerate the kill chain. I have a report posted about that a few months ago. So they're very much an AI for war kind of a company. Bear that in mind as we discuss what this particular company has just achieved when they align with the USDA. The USDA, because they were planning on this has obviously been an agenda for some time now, started last year consolidating all of their analog systems and all of their old systems and disparate siloed data platforms into one new data service, into one, they call it actually a ontological data framework, which is it's also insightful. It's called One Farmer, One File, and it means that they have all of the data in one place about any given operation.
And this is why they're going so hard on building these data centers, because they, going into this NWO, they need a lot of data, okay? And they have to have it ready to go. You see what I'm saying? Because this is how they're going to be able to, and the AI is going to aid them in this, because the AI is pretty much going to be the medium to where they can transfer all this data directly into these different databases and servers and things like that. All right, the AI is going to be the medium to feed that. All right, but all these data centers, which are destroying the environment, okay, using up all this water, polluting the air, that surround these facilities, and making people's electric bills go up, and people's gas and things like that astronomically high, man. This is what these devils do. Okay, so that's the function of these data centers going into this NWO. This is pretty much going to be the brain as to how they're going to be able to know or attempt to know, should I say, all things, because these devils are limited. Okay, they are not the Most High, man. All right, they have a vision that they want to overcome Yahweh Bashmel Shai, but they're just mere mortals. Okay, they're just mere men. You see, so the Most High is going to stop these devils, all right, when they think they're about to complete their agenda. But nonetheless, they are going to go forward with this thing because of the pride that's in them, and they really believe that they can pull this off, But let's continue.
And in their press release here, you can read about how it's going to make life easier for farmers. Now you can use login.gov to come access your subsidy information or whatnot. So it's all dressed up as a convenience for the farmer. The new Palantir deal, we can go back to the press release, is all about how...
See, so and this is why they're destroying farmer subsidies, and they're trying to take away power from the farmer to grow and sell their own food. All right, with this Palantir, them, they're going to present this Palantir, opting into it as a better alternative. All right, and it's all in the name of peace and safety and convenience. Oh, this is the better way. You don't have to go through all this paperwork and all this. Palantir will take care of it. So just give us, all your data. Just give us your farm, and we'll give you a nice little payout, and you ain't got to worry about it no more. Okay, that's what's going on behind the scenes, man. So these elite devils are absolutely diabolical. Okay, you can't tell me that you ain't dealing with Satan when you deal with these individuals, man. All right, they're completely left.
Oh, it's the war in Iran, and it's things are getting a little hairy out there, so we really need now, in fact, they say now, national agriculture is it's a critical infrastructure of national security. And so for your safety, we have to have Palantir take over the food supply. And of course, as I've reported on also, Palantir's CTO ran off to become chairman of the board, along with a substantial amount of investment they provided to the company that was Ginkgo Bioworks, which is one of the companies creating genetically engineered microbes to do sensing and reporting from places like soil. So as they format the soil and get rid of all of the natural biology that makes soil the amazing thing that it is. I was just talking about compost in my last video, and you can
So you heard that? So what these devils are doing, all right, with Palantir also is they're taking the natural biology out of the soil. Think about that. Do you understand how much of a devil that you have to be to actually go into the soil and strip the soil of its natural biology so that there is no way that it can produce seeds or produce any kind of life forth, man? These people are the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. This is, see, this is it right here. The Lord is exposing Esau on a whole nother level, man. Like, hey, as a matter of fact, the scripture says that the heart is deep. Let's get that. Cause you know when it comes to wickedness, man, you know Esau is you know top tier. Okay, Psalm 64:6. They search out iniquities, and that's all they do. Search out iniquities, search out wickedness, search out evil. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. See that? So the scriptures say that the heart of these devils, man, the secret counsel of the wicked is deep. And this is what Ice Age Farmer is going into, man. Like, that's crazy to think that you can actually, you know, strip what makes soil soil. Like you're actually going in there on a molecular level and you're taking all of the life producing properties of the soil out, man. That's the devil for you. You okay? That's the devil, man. But this is what they got going on. And you know, some way, somehow, all right, they're always gonna point the finger at Jake and say that Jake is the problem with the earth and you know what I'm saying, Jake is destroying everything. Nah, that's these niggas, man. All right, when you really look at all the problems on the planet Earth and why everything is all fucked up, it all goes back to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right, he is the source of all this wickedness, man. The wicked. But let's continue.
tell I'm passionate about this, right? This is like, if you don't know Elaine Ingram's web of life in the soil, like there's just an amazing amount of life that is part of the heart of what makes Earth special and a sacred place. And they're just getting rid of that and putting in these genetically modified microbes that will report via various signaling mechanisms. And this is also tied into an ARPA-H and DARPA projects. Report on soil moisture so that you can have smart irrigation.
So if you don't understand what he's saying, basically they're going to take out, or they are taking out, all of the natural biology that's in the soil that would naturally produce life, and they're going to put in their own patented microbes, right? They're going to inject these things into the soil artificially so that, you know, through AI and the Palantir and these certain devices that they have to read the information, they're going to be allowed to see, you know, how moist that the soil is. You know, they're going to be allowed to see how much that the soil can produce, or if it can produce at all. And also they'll be able to completely destroy the soil so that it can grow nothing. All right. So if you're one of those farmers out there that refuse to sell your land, and you don't want to give it up, and what I'm saying, you feel like you have rights, well, they can just insert these microbiomes into the soil on your farm, and boom, now you can't grow no more food. They can do it just like that with man, this is crazy, man. But see, these are the wicked devices of the devil. Okay, let's get Psalms 37 real quick, man. This nigga Esau gotta go, man. This is crazy. Psalms 37. Security of those who trust in the Lord and the insecurity of the wicked. Psalms 37 in verse 7. It says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Right? And that man who is bringing wicked devices to pass is none other than Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Okay? And this is why these devils have to go, man. See, they have to go for the earth to flourish. Like I said before, with these devils running the show, man, everything on the earth is dying. You know, I can't tell you the last time I've seen a butterfly, man. Like, it's been years since I've seen an actual butterfly. You know, I remember when I was younger, I used to see butterflies all the time, just playing outside. Now I can't tell you the last time that I've seen a butterfly. Okay, I may see a few bees here, you know what I'm saying, like here and there, but the butterflies are like, damn, like, what happened? But you see, the earth is languishing, man. Everything is suffering under the rule, under the wicked vibration of this devil.
The presence of pathogens so that we can have, they call it bioshield, so that we can have an early detection of pathogens and other farm outbreaks. Right? All of this is in.
And that sounds familiar, right? Because that's the same thing that they want to do in human beings. Okay? Which is why, all right, going back to the whole 2020 ordeal, you know what I'm saying? They was pretty much saying the same rhetoric, that like how they wanted to get you to V, and they want to put another thing in you to where they can know that you're sick before you know you sick, so that you can be quarantined, and you ain't got to be around and infect people and spread this. All right, it's the same thing that they want to do. You see what I'm saying? But this time they're going to do it by way of the RFID microchip. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the ultimate form of control that these devils want. Okay, and Aaron Russo told you that when he had his little back and forth with Nick Rockefeller. Okay, Nick Rockefeller told Aaron Russo that the ultimate goal is to get everybody chipped. And that's going to be the ultimate form of control, the ultimate form of surveillance. And ultimately, that will allow them to be like the Most High, all right, to where they're going to know your thoughts. They're going to know where you are at all times. They're going to be able to track and trace you. They're going to be able to control the money through that chip as well. So the same thing that they're doing to the farms and the soil, they want to do to human beings.
Dressed up in safety and national security because of the war in Iran. There's all of these philanthropic causes that they put on it, and now there's a crisis that they're using to shoehorn it in. But the bottom line here is that this is it. This is the takeover of the food supply by the technocrats. And I also want to point out that this is not the first time this has happened, right? We've seen under the Soviet rule when they went in and millions of Kazakhs fell in a famine because they tried to control the way food was being produced. That was 1930. More recently, and this is extensively written about, including in this massive book called Tombstone, about the Great Chinese Famine, which was flowing from the Great Leap Forward. Just to put the whole thing in a nutshell, and to illustrate my point about why a bureaucratic or now technocratic takeover of food production, a centralization and then top-down driving by people who have no idea what it's like to work with animals or soil, inevitably leads to a productivity collapse and ecosystem collapse, and thus famine. One of the things that was documented in the Great Chinese Famine, the Great Leap Forward, was that these officials in China who were in charge of making sure, of trying to end the famine that was already starting, said, well, it's because of these birds that are eating our crops. And if we could just get rid of these birds, then we'd solve all our problems. And so they started a campaign of killing off all of the, specifically of sparrows. And lo and behold, once they killed all of the birds, there was nothing to control the insect population. And so locusts and other insects devastated the crops at levels that were unforeseen beyond that. and thus the famine got even worse. And of course, they just punished the farmers at that point because that's how communism works. But I really can think of no better example of how centralization of food production and of control over food production, and then rule by technocracy, leads to collapse. It is a failed worldview. That's the same worldview that Alex Karp is espousing, as he says, "I need more data so my enemies wake up scared." It's a flawed worldview, and that's why it necessarily breeds collapse and failed results. And when you're talking about the food supply of large populations, and in this case now the global population, this is a global technocratic totalitarian takeover. It beggars the mind, right? This is not a good thing. It also underscores my main message for over a decade now, which is we need to move back to decentralized food production. We all need to be growing our own food. We all need to be raising our own animals.
And see, it's too late for all of that. You see, we're at the point now where prophecy must be fulfilled. So there is no self sustainability going into this time, man. Okay, you know what I'm saying? We coming into the time of Jeremiah 30:7, Daniel 12:1. All right, a time that has never been seen before on the earth, and afterwards shall not be seen again. This is it, man. So these individuals, you know, that are, and that's why we say, right, that these people don't got it, man. You know, they may be able to, you know, point out certain things and go into certain technicalities and all this and that. But at the end of the day, they don't have the answers because they don't understand how bad that it's really about to get. See, they don't understand the magnitude of the time that we're living through, bro. Okay? They want to talk about prep and, you know, grow your own food, which, you know, it's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, your mentality, all right, to want to start a farm now, all right, to want to plant things now. Listen, these niggas plan to block out the sun. How the hell are your crops going to grow if you ain't got the sun, bro? Right? They're going to pass laws and legislation to outlaw farming. They're going to pass laws to say you cannot have certain type of seeds. You see? They're going to pass laws to say that you cannot grow so many livestock or you can't have livestock at all. They're going to pass laws against you using gas and using artificial light to grow food, man. They're going to outlaw all these things. And really it's all from Yahweh Bashmiel Shai because, again, judgment, okay? There's not going to be any way that you can escape what's coming on the earth through your own carnal means, man. It's not going to happen. The Lord is going to disappoint you. So our mindset, the mindset of the hopefully elect, is, you know, we do what we can do. You know, we get a few things here and there put to the side. But we just do that for a rainy day. You know what I'm saying? Like, we not looking at that like that's our salvation or this is our foolproof plan. No, our foolproof plan is in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And that's the faith that we have. You see? Because when all else fails, all right, when you can't go to the market and get food or you know what I'm saying, you can't do X, Y, Z, whatever, all right, you're going to be confounded, bro. Why? Because the Lord is not guiding you in the spirit to have a sound mind through what's coming. Because I'll tell you what, going into the time we going into, having a peace of mind is going to be the biggest blessing. Okay, beyond food, beyond anything that you can tangibly touch in this world, man. You know what I'm saying? Being able to be at peace in the midst of all the chaos where everybody else is crashing out and bugging out, that's going to be a different level right there. Okay, and everybody don't have that. But that's only going to be given to you, all right, if you seek Yahweh Bashmel Shai, all right, and pray for understanding, you know, pray that the Lord be with you and pray that you're counted worthy, man, and you know what I'm saying, do your part, all right, to be obedient to the Lord, man, so that he can have mercy and stay these things from you. That's the only thing that's going to work, all right, because guess what, all these people that got farms out here or they feel like they want to have a homestead, the Lord is going to dead all that. Okay, the Lord is going to neutralize all that shit, man. Okay, and the food these people got that's stored up, guess what? That's going to be held for the elect. Because guess what? The Lord going to get rid of most of these people, man. Most of these preppers that you see out here, they got all this food stored up and all this water. The Lord going to take them out. They're not going to last too long, man. All right, but let's continue.
If one of us has a bad season, it's okay, because our neighbor can get us through that year, and then we'll be there for them next year. That's the way people used to organize in small towns and around church communities, not with one guy who says, let's kill all the birds, dooming the entire country. You can hopefully see why this is a terrible model to use. Notwithstanding, that's the one that we're moving into right now as the technocrats try and use crises and this war situation creating engineered scarcity to push this all forward. So again, because I sort of skipped over what this means implementation-wise, as that Palantir has their platform already. They will now be getting data from the USDA, the One Farmer, One File, which has all the information about ownership, about what you've planted, about what you prevented plant. So I couldn't plant this because there was too much, the fields were unworkable because we had too much rain. So prevent plant, how many acres did get planted, how much you produce. The fact that they'll be getting all of this information self-reported through the USDA, which farmers are obligated to report to, can be then wed to systems like the precision agriculture from John Deere, the smart driving tractors, the smart irrigation systems, which use different techniques to detect where the fields are wet. You put all this data together, and suddenly you have a real-time view of food production.
Yeah, see that? So basically what's about to happen with these farmers is they're about to have to comply if they want to keep their operation running. Okay, they're basically going to have to allow Palantir to take over their farms. So farming for the farmer as they knew it is over with. You see, food as you know it is over with. And that's why they're bringing about this famine, man, because this is all about the Great Reset. You see? So these farmers, they're already losing, but they don't even know that they've already lost. All right, because if they want to keep the operation going, they're going to have to comply with these mandates. And those that don't, well, you're going to be shit out of luck, man. Okay? Ain't nothing going to happen. So, these are the wiles of the devil. Okay, these are the devices of the wicked. You see, and just to show you what time we in, the average Babylonian out here, they have no idea what's coming down the pipe. They've been talking about this famine is going to come, due to the Strait of Hormuz and all that. That's one thing, but also when you have a domestic food crisis that's in the works as well, that's going to take it to a whole nother level, man. All right, and we know the scriptures talk about how people are going to be invading one another, okay, because of the lack of bread. Matter of fact, let's get it. Okay, all kind of scriptures coming to my mind right now. Second Ezra's, that 15, I believe it's 15. Yep, Second Ezra's 15, in verse 15. For the sword and their destruction drove nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay, so we're in a time of war. All right, so where we already know when everything gets scarce and society breaks down, people are going to resort, all right, to their true demonic selves. Okay, because right now people can smile in your face and they can act like everything cool, but as soon as their comfort is gone, that's when people show they true colors, man. So this was getting ready to happen in the society. Okay, verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, uprisings, protests, all right, rebellion, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, meaning they ain't going to give a damn about their higher authorities. They ain't going to give a damn what the president guys say, what the mayor, the governor, all right, the police, state, you know what I'm saying? People are not going to give a damn what none of these officials got to say because they ain't going to be doing nothing for the people. And what does it say? They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. You see that? Now to get to the point in verse 19, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, No mercy. Okay, we're coming into a time of no mercy. It's going to be dog eat dog out here. Okay, and why is this going to happen? But shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, meaning that they're going to be going around. All right, you're going to have gangs, marauders, you know what I'm saying, going around with the sword, which the modern day sword is the gun, all right, the weapon of choice. And they're going to go, you know what I'm saying, people going to be doing home invasions. That's what the scriptures is saying, man. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be going around house to house looking for what they can take, what they can steal. That's what spoil means, okay? And spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, famine, and for great tribulation. So this is where we at, man. Hey, these scriptures are flying off the pages. You see what I'm saying? And when you get Psalms 10, it's another one that came to my mind. You know, Psalms 10, a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. Psalms 10:1, why standest thou afar off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. All right, now the poor is referring to are really the Israelites, you know, the Lord's people, because we're on the bottom of society. But even the poor amongst his own, okay, the poor in general, this man persecutes because he hates the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, which is to set up this NWO. You know what I'm saying? You've already had Klaus Schwab come out years ago, all right, and tell you that there's that one day it's going to be a cyber attack that's going to knock out the grid, and we must prepare for a more angrier world. Okay? That goddamn devil, man. You know what I'm saying? All these things that he said going into the Great Reset, we see these things happening, okay? Because Esau, he's the left-hand wicked mouthpiece of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to proclaim the evil before it comes, all right? These devils tell you themselves what they about to do because they know that you know what I'm saying, that these people ain't going to do nothing about it. Here it is, they done released or partially released the EP files, and these people ain't do nothing. All right, talking about we want the files. And all, you know, and all for what? People ain't gonna do shit about it. These devils are still doing what they've been doing, man. And you know what I'm saying? These Babylonians haven't been riled up yet. So at this point, they don't give a damn. That's why now they just playing in these people's face, man. Because they know you ain't gonna do shit. Psalms 10 and finish that out. 2, does persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Verse 4, the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after Yahweh. Yahweh Bashem Shai is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. And that's these Edomites, man, especially the elites of them. All right, the house of Amalek. This is exactly how they feel. All right, to where, you know, they believe that they'll never be taken down, that they'll never see judgment, and that they're going to ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after and have the NWO. No. Okay, the Lord about to cut these devils off. Okay, let's get Isaiah 32 and we can close out. All right, Isaiah 32 and verse 5. It says, the vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy. And who's the biggest hypocrite on the planet Earth? Esau Edom. Okay? Everything that this man do or he condemns somebody else for doing, he does the same, and he does it at the highest level. Okay? And to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words. Just like how he say, oh, you know, Palantir for the farmers, you know, this is for your benefit. You know, we want to help you. Okay, this is more convenient and this and that, right? Destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh aright. Okay, let's get that in the NLT. Isaiah 32 And 7 in the NLT. The smooth tricks of scoundrels are evil. They plot crooked schemes. They lie to convict the poor, even when the cause of the poor is just. Okay, and that's these goddamn devils, man. So you see what type of time that Esau's on. You know what I'm saying? Oh, matter of fact, what is that? Believe that's Revelation 11, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see real quick. If not, we'll just type it in. Revelation. Let's do this. Yep, Revelation 11 and 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, which are the Israelites, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth, which are the Edomites and these other heathen nations, man. Okay, as you heard Ice Age farmers say that in the 1930s in China, they said, you know what, we're going to kill off all the birds, okay? And that had a domino effect on the ecosystem, because when you kill off all the birds, well, now there's not enough birds to keep the worm population and the insect population in control. So then you have an overabundance of insects and worms, which work to, further degrade the soil. All right, so these heathen, again, they ain't got it, man. Okay, they don't know how to run the earth the way that the Lord intended, man. Because you see, when you run the earth as the Lord has outlined you to run it, things flow smoothly. Okay, everything is in harmony, man. But when you got these heathens talking about, we gonna kill off all the birds, and you know what I'm saying, we gonna kill off all the predatory animals, and we gonna overgrow the prey. See, things become out of balance, man, because the Lord created the earth. You see, when you go back to Genesis, after the creation, the Lord said that everything that he made was good. Okay, but Esau and the heathen come along now, and they say, no, everything the Lord created was not good. See, we can do better. All right? See, we know better than Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. See, that's where these nations go off, and that's why the earth is all messed up. Because you have children that are in rulership right now, man. They don't know what the hell they doing. And they're destroying the earth. Okay? You destroying the farmer, those that produce food for the people, that's destroying the earth, bro. But do Esau give a damn? Hell no. Right? So the Lord got to destroy these motherfuckers, man, because, the more that they continue, the more diabolical and the worse the situation is going to get. So we need deliverance, man. And you know what I'm saying? You Aki and Wakwa should be chanting down, this wicked ass kingdom, man, every single day, man. Harder. Okay, because we need to get the hell out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? The whole creation groaneth. All right? We'll get that. Expectation of the creature. Yeah. We close out on this one. That's the spirit. Yeah, Romans 8 and 18. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So the earnest expectation of the creature, okay, is that the sons of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai come back into rule and put everything back in order, man. So all this madness can stop, right? For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which are the Israelites. Okay, verse 22, for we know that the whole creation groaneth. The air is crying out. The soil is crying out. The people are crying out. Everything is groaning and complaining at the rulership of the wicked, right? And travaileth in pain together until now. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves grown within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. That's what we doing, man. You know what I'm saying? We can't see the kingdom, but we wait on it because we have the faith to believe in it, man. Okay, we believe in the promises that the Lord has outlined within the scriptures, man. So that's, you know what I'm saying, that's our only hope, you know? Because, you know, if we ain't got the hope of the kingdom, then, hey, shit, we all cooked. Okay, it ain't no way to get out of this, man. All right, so we're prisoners of hope, we're prisoners of prophecy, and, you know, we got to keep that faith going, man. So, you know, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this lesson has been edifying through the Rakah Kedash. In closing, call Allah Yahweh Bashim El Shai, Bashim Rakah Kedash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Kwam Yasha'Allah, wa Ba'vabal. Shalom.
That will, of course, allow them to do better insider trading, because you'll know about the production before any of those numbers are published, and so you can trade soybeans or whatever else. Insider trading does seem to be a prominent feature of the current administration and the way they're playing, especially on poly market. Putting that aside, the big picture here is that this is it. This is them closing the loop, and especially with the soil microbes engineered by Ginkgo Bioworks using ARPA-funded ways to signal up to satellites and other detection mechanisms about how the soil is behaving. This gives them the total visibility and total real-time visibility into agriculture and into our food systems that they have been describing and saying they want since the dawn of time, right? Since the famines of the 1930s. These technocrats and bureaucrats always want to be in charge of these things.